Hello, welcome to On the Rocks podcast. I'm Nate Callens. I'm super excited. We've got a very special guest this week, Jon Gries. You know him as the beloved Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. You also know him from the Adult Swim show DreamCorp, LLC, as Dr. Roberts. And you know what? The White Lotus on HBO. You know him from that. That is him. That is him in the Hawaiian shirt. If you haven't watched it, I'm not going to give anything away, but he plays Greg, a resort guest who connects with Tanya, played by Stifler's mom. Anyway, this is part one of the two-part episode. Jon and I had such an awesome chat. We geeked out about everything that he's done, music. We're going to debut 4 of his songs on the podcast, which is amazing. He was kind enough to let me play 4 of his songs. He's a musician, you guys. I don't know if you knew that. So let's get to it. This is episode 1. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming soon. We split it in half because we talked for 2.5 hours. It was awesome. I do have to mention that you will notice that the audio is a little bit funky on this on my end. I am sorry about that. That is a setting in Zoom where I forgot to limit the volume of the microphone. So it sounds like I'm hyperactive, and I was, because Jon Gries is a complete awesome dude. And so yeah, enjoy it. His audio sounds great. Hey, Jon, are you there?
Yeah, I'm just putting on headphones so I don't.
Sure.
So it's a little.
Sounds great.
Are you? Yeah, is that better?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, cool. Right on. So we're
There
here.
we go. We're here, man. We are here together. We're going to chat.
Right on. Come here. My parrot is misbehaving, so I'm going to have to. Oh, come here, buddy. Eat your lunch.
That's
All right.
awesome. You have a parrot. What's your parrot's name?
Pablo.
I'm sorry,
Pablo.
Roblo?
Pablo, yeah.
Pablo. I thought you were talking about Rob Lowe and calling him Bob Lowe at first. It's like, whoa, Bob Lowe.
No, God. I wouldn't name my parrot Rob Lowe. I would not do that.
You never know.
He banged an old girlfriend of mine.
Are you serious? That bastard. Yeah. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, I feel like, but except for that. But I mean, I feel like he can get away with a lot of stuff. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, of course, I wasn't with her anymore, so it was
sure.
Okay, but we had just broken up. It was like right after. All right, Pablo, you got to help me out here, bro. You got to really you got to I'm going to give you some fresh water. He's very, very demanding of attention.
Really?
Oh, fuck.
How old is Pablo?
He's just 8.
Okay.
He's young.
That's young. That's young, huh?
Be 8. Yeah, I mean, in the wild, they live like 75 years.
Oh, that's right. I knew that. I've watched enough nature shows to know that. What am I talking about?
Well, they all have different, they all have different age ranges,
Right.
But he's an eclectus parrot, and they're, they can.
Okay.
I mean, in captivity, they don't live quite as long because they're, they in the wild they fly like 200 miles a day.
Oh my God! Really?
They're banging. Oh yeah, they're very highly sexed.
Wow.
They're banging all the girls in the neighborhood. It is such a highly sexed group that they literally are like, it's an orgy every day.
Jeez. It's like Rob. I mean, it could have been named Rob Lowe then. I mean, let's not get it twisted.
But I had another one. His name was Picasso. I adopted him. He passed away. He had a heart condition. So after he passed away, it broke my heart. So I adopted this guy, and his name originally, the guy said to me, his name is Antonio. And I was like, yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore, fella. That's
his
great.
name is Antonio. I said, yeah, I'm going to change that.
I'm going to go ahead and change that immediately. I like that though. It's it's a tribute to your other bird. That's cool. Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. It was actually, I wish it had been my idea, but it was actually my neighbor's idea.
Okay. Well, we'll cut that part out, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Fine.
It's good.
That's cool.
I always give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, God, thanks for joining me, by the way. Again, this is amazing. I'm super glad this is working out and that you agreed to do it. And basically kind of what my plan is that the bird?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's his mating call.
Damn.
Like, when he wants to be with me, that's what he'll do.
That's awesome. That was like
I'm going to bring him in the room. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He flew away once, and that's how I got him back.
No way.
When I first got him, he flew out the door and he booked it, but he didn't know where he was.
Oh, wow.
And I know that they make that call. So it was that call that I just kept whistling as high and loud as I could. And all of a sudden I heard him like a quarter mile away. And
whoa.
He didn't know where he was. He didn't know his way back.
No,
so
of course.
Kept doing it. And then he came back. He worked his way back. It was amazing.
That's incredible.
It was an amazing. Yeah,
wow.
It was. It really
nicely
was.
done.
Lucky.
Yeah, no kidding. Because how else would you do it? I mean, that'd be, how do you?
Yeah, there's nowhere. I mean, people put up signs or whatever,
right.
which I did as well. I was, I just was canvassing the area.
Cover all the bases.
I just got him.
That's incredible. Nicely done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Meant to be.
Yeah, man, it really was. Good thing you knew how to do that high-pitched whistle there, and loud enough, too, where you could hear it from that far away. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that's neat.
It was lucky. So are we already in the thing, or are we about to start, or how does it work?
Well, I mean, I always like the pre-chat stuff before we get into the nitty-gritty. So, I mean, if you want, I would like to leave that in. I mean, that was a cool story. So basically, I'm easy. We're in it. I'm in it. That's cool. You're a laid back dude. You're a laid back dude. I can tell.
Relatively, I really am. About things like this. Yeah. It's cool.
I mean, you fell asleep after a meeting. That's pretty laid back,
Yeah. Well, I was trashed, just talk.
Yeah, man. So was this like
about things?
Was it a pitch meeting?
It was. No. It was a tax meeting.
Oh, yeah. That's way worse. Numbers and
it's horrible.
God.
They just start saying shit to me, going, "So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this." And I was like,
"You're like,
whatever the fuck you want to do, just go for it." I'm not.
I have to trust you.
I mean, I got to trust you because I'm too stupid to ask questions.
Right. And that's why we hire people to do that kind of stuff. Because if we mess it up, then it's on us,
I know, but you see, I got robbed once. An accountant stole a bunch of my money.
Oh, no.
Once. Yeah, he died in jail. But
oh, damn. How long ago did that happen?
Yeah, he went to jail probably 2008.
Okay.
And but he died in jail. He died of a heart attack.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So, well, he got like a lot of years, so he was going to live there the rest of his life. So
sure. Yeah.
He kind of got an easy exit. So.
Wow. Yeah. He ended up where he was supposed to be then.
He took down a lot of people, and I mean, these are all people that he, like, like people he grew up with, friends that my brother went to elementary school with this guy.
Oh, damn.
And yeah, he fleeced a lot of our friends.
Ugh.
A lot of us.
Well, he's just a shitty person.
And I was like bad all the way. And I was late to the dance because, my attitude was like, I don't want to get in tax problems. I was afraid of the government more than anything. I'm going to walk outside with you as we go.
Man.
I have an aviary that I built in the back,
No way.
I put the bird in
awesome.
the aviary. Yeah, huge. It's huge.
Damn.
16 feet.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
16 feet high by 21 feet long by 10 feet wide. It's got two full mature trees inside.
Cool. So he's loving that then.
It is. Yeah. And I have my recording studio literally right next door to it.
So man, that's perfect.
He goes in here, and if he's screaming, no, he doesn't want to get off my hand. Come on, dude, you gotta just hang out for a minute. This is paradise for him.
I bet.
In heaven.
I can't imagine how excited he must be to be in there. That's so cool.
Well, he wants to be with me. That's part of the problem, the sexualized problem with me.
Sure.
He always wants to be wherever I'm going.
Okay. So he wants to be my other guest on the podcast. That's pretty cool.
He wants me to be his bitch.
It's going down. That's funny.
He gets all Barry White on me.
Sure, he does. He gets real smooth, real low.
Oh, totally.
He's very, very, he gets what he wants. Sounds like.
He gets very 70s. 70s on me.
Yes. got big sideburns, bell bottoms, all that type of stuff. A smoking jacket, maybe a smoking jacket once in a while. That's awesome.
Yeah. Totally irreverent. You know?
Yeah, I mean, as he should be. So basically, kind of how I have this formatted. Normally, what I'll do is we do this pre-chat, then I'll give you a proper intro, and then we'll kind of go into got some questions about kind of how you got started in acting, and then family life, music, your influences, just some other random questions.
However you want to roll. We'll just fly with it.
We'll do some flying together. So what I'll do right now is I'll do your official intro, and then we'll get right into it.
Okay, it's Gries.
All right, it's Gries. It is. Yeah, I made sure to spell it incorrectly in my notes, Grys, so I pronounce it right.
Oh, okay. Well, it's funny how if you have French fries spelled the same way, except with an F instead of a G.
For sure. Yeah, so people think, it must be. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here goes. I'll do the intro, and then we'll just go right into it. And I'll thank you again for joining me after that. So here we go.
Yeah, whatever you got to do.
Sure. Welcome to On the Rocks podcast. I'm your host, Nate Callens. Today we've got a very special guest, Mr. Jon Gries. Man, I'm so excited to have him here today. And he was born in Glendale, California, the son of Mary Eleanor Munday, an actress, and Thomas Stephen Gries, a writer, director, and producer. Jon himself is an American actor, writer, and director, best known for his role in Napoleon Dynamite as the beloved Uncle Rico, and the film for which he was nominated for the Independent Spirit Award for Best Supporting Male. He starred in the out there awesome Adult Swim show DreamCorp LLC as Dr. Roberts. We'll get into that later on. He's also known for his reoccurring characters Roger Linus on Lost and Rusty the Bum on Seinfeld. He's also played a werewolf on a few different occasions in Fright Night 2 and The Monster Squad. He's also known for his roles in Martin, The Pretender, Running Scared, Real Genius alongside Val Kilmer, and most recently, the excellent HBO show The White Lotus as Greg, a resort guest who connects with Tanya, played brilliantly by Jennifer Coolidge, best known as Stifler's mom in the American Pie franchise, to my viewers and my listeners, and so many more roles. Jon, thank you so much for joining me today, man.
Thank you, Nate. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
To be here.
I'm so glad you are, and I appreciate you coming on. This is really cool for me. I'm sure I've seen you in a bunch of things before Napoleon Dynamite without really knowing it was you, because you looked very different in Napoleon Dynamite as Uncle Rico.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I have one of those careers that if you stay up late enough and you watch enough garbage, you'll find me somewhere.
Right. I mean, Fright Night 2 and Monster Squad, classics, Real Genius, another classic. Yeah. I mean, you've got such a wide variety of roles that you have been in over the years, and you just had a really long, successful career as a ton of different characters, some more well-known than others. And sometimes people don't know that it's you until I tell them in the intro. So, I mean, those werewolf ones, I didn't realize that. I've seen those movies. I didn't realize that was you. That's incredible. So
it wasn't really me as the werewolf. I was the desperate man before he became a werewolf. And Monster Squad. When he became a werewolf in Monster Squad, they got some big muscly guy to play it.
Sure.
I remember I got angry with Fred Decker saying this guy's not he's not nuanceable. I might as well be a sideshow at a carnival.
Right. Yeah.
And it wasn't his fault. He's a stuntman. He's a stuntman who's trying to play a character, and I'm trying to tell the guy, look, let's find this dynamic. Let's try and get something so that there is a relation between the desperate man and you.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, it was. For me personally, it was a frustrating thing because, here's somebody playing the other half of your character, and forever that he's going to be equated as you're playing that guy, and I wanted to add some different color to him and different stuff, comedic stuff, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
But the guy was just kind of playing it straightforward, and nothing against him. He was not a very experienced actor. And
sure. Yep.
So mainly a stuntman. So we started talking more and more about it, and I think he started to get it a little bit better,
Be a little more playful.
I remember in the beginning. Yeah, I wanted him to. I wanted him. Honestly, he didn't think he had permission to. A lot of times.
Sure.
They get in the job and they're like, okay, I'm just going to be really good at this and play by the rules. And, part of what acting becomes is, look, you got to kind of bend the rules, if not break them.
For sure.
That's what it is.
It's a huge part of it. So, so he did, towards the end, he did get a little bit more loosey-goosey with it then, instead of being taken it too serious.
I started to try and encourage him and give him permission, saying, no,
sure.
you have to, and he I think he felt better about it. He started
That's good.
to, rather than just go and complain to the teacher about him.
Right. Yeah. Just tattle on him.
That was never my style as a kid in school.
No, that's good.
I went to him and said, let's try.
Sure. Just go directly to him instead of telling the director. That's good.
Well, when I told Fred was like, talk to him. I was like,
sure. Oh, yeah.
You're right.
Okay.
I'll talk to you. You're right.
I'll talk to him. I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you had a really long career, and I know I did a little teaser on my socials the other day, a picture of you as Boy Horace in the Charlton Heston film, Will Penny, which was written and directed by your dad. What can you tell me about that time period in your life, and what do you remember about doing that movie?
I remember quite a bit about it, actually, but I will tell you that, because it was my dad absolutely, can I swear?
Yeah, we can swear as much as you want.
All right. Well, he fucking hated the idea that I was going to be in the movie, or that the producer suggested me.
Oh, yeah.
Really, truly, what had happened was I had my tooth got knocked out.
Damn.
At school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so he had to take me to the dentist. We had just moved out to Los Angeles. We had been living in New York, and we moved back to LA. Mm-hmm. My parents actually had been separated, so then they got back together, and we moved back to LA, and the dentist was all the way, quote unquote, in town, because we were living by the beach, which was amazing.
Awesome.
And so my father had the task of taking me to the dentist, but he was on his way to Paramount, and he was kind of at crunch time where they were just starting to cast and do all that stuff. And so he's like, I'm taking you to the dentist, and then you're coming to work with me. You're not going to go back to school. We're not going to do any of that. So nice. I went with him, and then I remember sitting in his office. I remember this absolutely distinctly, sitting in his office while he was typing away on his electric typewriter, because he had to get the shooting draft done.
Sure.
And I was, I'm one of 4 boys. I'm the youngest. I had my dad to myself. It was great.
Sure. That's awesome.
I hadn't seen that much of him, because when they got separated, I stayed in New York with my mom, and my father came to LA, and he was working on other things, and then they got back together. Anyway, long story, but
sure.
So here I had him, and then he finally just stopped me, and he said, okay, John, I can't talk to you. I can't. I got to do this. I've got to get this done. So he said, look, nobody is on the Western Street out there. We were at Paramount Studios. They used to call it the Bonanza Street.
Oh, yeah,
said, nobody's
for sure.
on the Bonanza. Nobody's on the Bonanza Street. I don't even know if they shot it at Bonanza. Shot Bonanza there, but they called it the Bonanza Street because it was a Western Street.
Yeah, man.
So he said, go on, play out on the Bonanza Street, because I was just turned 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, don't get in trouble, because he knew that I could have a proclivity to get in trouble, being one of 4 boys.
Right.
Don't break anything. Don't break windows, because when we were really young, my father used to shoot that show Combat, and we'd go out to the set and we could throw rocks through the windows and stuff like that, because everything was all supposed to be blown to shit.
Sure. Yeah.
So you can't do any of that stuff on the Western Street.
We're changing that.
No, you just gotta have fun. So I left his little office, and it was in a building, and I walked down the hall to go out the front of the building, and as I was walking out, these 2 older guys were walking in. One was a guy named Fred Engel, the other guy was Walter Seltzer. Mm-hmm. And they stopped me and they said, are you here with Tommy? I was like, because everybody called my dad.
Okay.
Said, yeah. And they pulled me into their office, and of course, within about 5 minutes, realized that Tommy was my dad. and they sat there, and they were like, do you want to soda or something? And I was like, I wasn't allowed to have Coke. I was like, yeah,
hell yeah.
Right away. Like,
I like these guys.
I wasn't allowed to do.
Yeah.
So, and they were taking all this time to talk to me. It was like perfect. I got a couple of guys who wanted to sit around and shoot the breeze with me.
Yeah.
And I could hear, their office was literally right next door to my dad's with a door in between, and I can hear my father typing in the next room, right?
Sure.
And so they just finally said, picked up the phone and called my dad in the next office and said, Tommy, we got the kid.
Wow.
And my father came to the door. I could hear my father through the wall go, oh, great.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the door opens and there I am sitting there drinking a Coke, no less. And my father's looking at me and he goes, "Oh no, guys, no. That's my son. He's not an actor. He's an idiot."
Oh no! Oh man! So you remember him saying that he's an idiot? And you're like, "Dad, I'm right here. I'm right here, and I got this."
Oh no, I never cared. I was like, I just kind of was like, I was literally just kind of going along with it. I had no idea what the implications were.
Oh, I
didn't care. I was like, I just didn't have to go to school. That's where my head was. That's the simplest thing. That day I didn't have to be at school. And so they convinced him to screen test me, and I screen tested, and then, he came home that night after I tested, because it took me about an hour to screen test, where all these other kids, these actor schmackter kids were like, "Hey, piece of cake, in and out," and they were like kind of being rude to me. But anyway,
wow.
I went in and then I screen tested with Chuck Roberson, who was John Wayne's stuntman for many, many years. Even though John Wayne was clearly capable, that he had to have a stuntman in case he got hurt because he was so valuable. So Chuck Roberson, who was amazing stuntman and cowboy himself, I read with him. And then my father came home that night and said to my mom, don't worry about it. He's not going to get it. And then the next morning, different story. They called me and said, come on in and take a look at the test. And then my father called my mother and said, you better get down here.
Oh, man.
She said, so I did the movie, and it was amazing. And Joan Hackett was amazing. And Charlton Heston was amazing. Donald Pleasance.
God.
I made friends. I'll tell you who one of my favorite people that I made friends with, and I'm blanked right now, of course, as I'm saying this.
Sure.
Because he came up, a British actor, he came up to visit Donald Pleasance, and there was one of those, typical Hollywood cocktail parties in the middle of the mountains with snow and everything around.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Hemmings.
Okay.
David Hemmings.
Nice.
And David Hemmings, who was in the movie Blow Up,
Yep.
He had just finished shooting that movie, and he came out to visit Donald Pleasance, and he didn't want to hang at the party, and so he grabbed me and said, "Come on." He grabbed a bottle of whiskey, and we went up onto the roof of this house full of snow, and he sat there, and we sat in this beautiful night, big full moon, and he was like, try a little bit. It's not bad. If you just sip it, it's not bad. He was, So we became fast friends, which he was only up there for like 24 hours, but we became really good buddies. And then, of course, everybody, Ben Johnson and Bruce Dern and
oh my God, legend.
A lot of people.
I have to find that.
Legendary people. And
I have to find that movie. I need to watch that movie.
It's actually a quite a good movie. It's Charlton Heston. I know everybody kind of maligned him as he was getting Alzheimer's, and he. Right. They tricked him into being, he was not all there when he was over my dead body, all that stuff. He was
over the top stuff.
For all we knew, he thought he was playing a role. He was he had Alzheimer's.
Damn.
But he was a really giving, lovely guy, and that was his favorite acting job that he'd ever done.
Really?
He said in his autobiography. Oh yeah, without a doubt, because he played a loser cowboy who was illiterate.
Right. Yeah, I have to find that and watch that. I've never seen it, but I need to watch it. I do like old westerns, but I have not seen that.
Oh, it's good. I think it rivals Shane every step of the way.
Oh, wow. And, nice.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It's really good. My father was into authentic, so he really tried to create that sense of what the West was like, No, it was not a glamorous, glossy Western.
No, not the spaghetti Western type of stuff.
No, I mean, like our American Westerns, how everybody was wearing Levi's and
right.
they looked a certain way and their clothing didn't look quite right. It looked like it was bought at a Western store,
Right.
No, this stuff was all patchwork and put together.
Nice.
That's my father was really into John Ford. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how cool you got to be on
doing them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great because my father only lived another 10 years. So I got to have that.
Oh, damn. Him, Yeah. How cool to have that project that you guys did together there forever. That's really neat. And your first role too. How crazy is that? You got to work with some heavy hitters on that.
I got offered a lot of big movies after that, but I turned everything down because I just wanted to have a normal life. I didn't want to be separated from my brothers. I wanted
for sure.
I just wanted to blend in. And of course they would make fun of me, oh, you're the actor,
The big actor.
So I just was like, so yeah, but I got offered The Cowboys with John Wayne. I got offered The Reavers with Steve McQueen. I got offered a lot of big freaking movies.
Good shit. Yeah.
And turn it all down.
Damn.
I wanted to be a regular kid.
Be a kid. Yeah. So what were you doing instead of that? And two-part question. What were you doing instead of acting? And when was the next time you acted?
Oh, what was I doing? I was just, being a really below average student and, running around and causing trouble with friends,
Sure.
Like,
fun stuff.
I mean, I went through I was a bit of a juvenile delinquent in high school. I'm not going to get into how bad a juvenile delinquent was.
Okay.
There was a few times that, I mean, if there was a car once in a while missing, I don't know. I know nothing.
I'm just saying it wasn't me.
Nor deny.
It might have been.
Yeah. But I was conscientious. I would always leave a note and say, look, this car's stolen.
Hypothetically, what kind of cars were getting stolen back then?
Well, everything from a Porsche to a VW Bug.
Okay, so runs the gamut. They're cousins. They're basically cousins. Those two cars. So it's all in the family.
Or a Coupe de Ville, a black, beautiful black convertible Coupe de Ville.
Yeah, very specific. If it had happened, it's a very specific example.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. You look for certain things,
Yeah, right.
I mean, sometimes out of necessity. There's no question.
Yeah.
And back then, a lot of the valet guys would leave keys in the car, and they'd be so busy, and you'd wander up and just decide to go. I need to go to my friend's house. Yeah. I never had a car in high school, and I need to go to my friend's house, and he lives about 4 miles from here, and I'm not going to take the bus.
No, that's.
So I'll just borrow this car and just leave it there.
Oh my God, man, that's funny. You could get away with that back then a little better than you can now. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
And it was easier to do, I'm sure, back then, because people weren't necessarily expecting it, and there was no security systems in the cars.
Oh my! No cameras, no nothing.
No cameras, nothing. Like, you could do whatever.
Yeah, you could. The only thing, what? Back then, your camera was your conscience.
Yes.
You started to feel, if you did something like that, you would feel bad, and you try and get it. Bring it back and or put it close to where it was. Maybe somebody forgot.
Someone might see it.
Or truly would leave a note, park it in the red somewhere and put a note on it saying, I stole this car and this is where I stole it from last night, blah, blah, blah. And,
So at least you had a conscience. Yeah.
I did.
I love that.
I wasn't I would never have been a good thief. I wasn't.
No.
But a car I felt like was okay if you did something like that. Of course I'd put the keys under the floor mat or under the visor or something like that,
somewhere where they can find them. So funny.
But I won't talk about some of the other stuff today because there was way,
Yeah. We don't want to incriminate you too much. I mean, the statute of limitations might not be up on some of those things, so we'll just kind of keep it hush-hush.
Nobody got killed. No murder. No, nothing.
No.
That wasn't that crazy.
You're not that guy. We know that.
Not at all. No.
So growing up, you had a musical family. Your paternal step grandpa was a jazz musician.
Yeah.
Muggsy.
Yeah, Muggsy Spanier.
Yeah.
Big jazz guy who, I guess if you were to equate his era with, like, say, rock and roll, I mean, a Peter Frampton, or you know what I mean? Like somebody who's still relatively known now. I mean, in the jazz world, he's very well known.
Just a hardworking musician.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
A grinder, and made a lot of records, and his style was like, he was into the ragtime stuff. That was the deal.
That's awesome.
But my uncle was, my father's brother was a pianist who, was a staple in Chicago, and he played there, and he was known in Chicago, and he was quite amazing, but, and didn't, kind of decided not to, he decided to forego the touring and the record albums and all that stuff to stay in Chicago and raise his 4 kids and be with his family, very religious, very Catholic.
Sure.
And, and ridiculously talented.
Oh yeah.
And, he went under the name Buddy Charles.
Okay, Buddy Charles. I'll have to look him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then my brothers were all music. My cousins on my mother's side, like one of my cousins plays for the LA Chamber Orchestra.
Wow.
So I'm like the least musical in the sense that I didn't train. My oldest brother Peter was an amazing bassist, amazing guitar player. My brother Steven is just ridiculous,
Nice.
Just does anything he touches. He's really so gifted. And he had a band that was, that at one point Doug Feiger was in his band. I mean, he had all these.
Wow.
He had all these people that kind of went through his band.
Sure.
And not only did they go through his band, but they all looked up to him, and they looked up to his band. And but yet they were misfits. They were just misfits. And they never got signed. They kept falling apart and having problems, but they were really, really great, and huge influence on me musically.
Yeah. And that was my follow-up question, is like, how did that kind of shape you and your musical talents, and just as an artist, how did that rub off on you?
Well, it started at a very, very young age. I mean, when he brought home a Beatles record and I was 6 years old, he would, all the way up, he would play all these different bands, the Supremes, and, he was into both. My brother Peter was very much into soul music, and he was a great bassist.
Nice.
And Stephen was more into the British stuff, but they would talk about the parts as they would listen to music. They wouldn't just like, oh, check this out. This is such a cool song. But my brother Stephen would say, no, listen to what Paul McCartney's doing on this bass line here. And then he would literally by ear pick up the bass and just mimic it, So he's that kind of guy. So being around that, it kind of rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
Like not nearly the same kind of talent, but I would say that I write more songs than they did. They were much more guys who would play, but I didn't learn a lot of other people's songs. I just decided my avenue into playing was writing, was composing.
Okay. Sure. So you're getting the stuff down on paper and recording it more, and they were more like playing more live stuff.
No, I would just play it and record it, and then add the melody and the music.
Okay.
I mean, I couldn't write it down to save my life.
Yeah.
Half the time in the first, 5 or 10 years I was playing music, I didn't know what chords I was playing. I just knew I knew they sounded good and they worked pretty well together, and
Yeah. So, but you read all the lyrics though, right?
I wrote, yeah. I would write the lyrics.
Sure.
Yeah.
Writing the music part, that's got to be the hard stuff, especially if you don't read music too. Like if you're just having to write
lyrics are harder. Lyrics are always harder. I mean, when you play music, you get a groove going and it feels so good, and you almost like it's out of mind. It's not. You're not thinking about it. You're just doing it, and then all of a sudden you sit down and go, the song feels like X, and now I've got to formulate how to achieve X.
Sure.
How to
Okay.
put the words. So it's always is harder. I find. I think most musicians I've known tend to struggle more with lyrics than they do with the music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just interviewed a new friend that I met on Instagram, weirdly. Her musician name is Sweaty Lamar. So shout out to Sweaty Lamar. She said that she never was like into music or writing until about a year ago, during, quarantine and lockdown and stuff. And she said all these songs just kind of started coming into her head, lyrics, and she somehow managed to write 50 songs. And I was wondering if songs have ever just come to you like that before. She said these lyrics, she just had to get them down. Like, I couldn't even believe like 50 songs sounds completely just batshit crazy to just have them come out of you somewhere that it never came out of before, previously. So, are there any times where songs just kind of flow through you and just come out real easily?
Yes. Sometimes I'll be in a situation, where, you feel like something's happening in your life and you just sit down and then play your changes. You can hear my birdie trying to sound like a crow.
Yeah,
trying to be a crow.
Yeah,
here's
imposter.
The crows every morning. Yeah, you totally
emulating. I love that.
Sometimes of course they do, and in fact, it's weird. I'm going through one of the, I have an analog studio. I don't record on digital, which has really taught me to play music. For instance, if you're recording bass on tape, your bass part's got to be great all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
You can't punch it in if you're sitting there yourself. So you have to start from the beginning again. So invariably, if I'm playing a bass part on a song, man, I got to make that thing work all the way through. It's kind of better practical training. It's not like with the digital thing where you can play, I'll play a couple of bars of this and then I can just, quantize it or do whatever.
Right.
Loop it. Right. And it's the same with the drums, because I'm playing the drums on the thing sometimes, and I don't consider myself a drummer or even a bassist by any means. But with respect to an individual song, if I'm playing that song, I will work out the part that sometimes people will hear the bass line and go, wow, who played bass? That's a great bass line.
Yeah.
Well, it took me only 4 hours to figure it out and start to get it down,
but you got it.
A real bassist would come in and sit down and probably whip it out in, 20 minutes, but at the same time, it's kind of like without even realizing you're training as you're doing it, You're learning as you go along, but by just the experience of doing it. But
by doing it,
during the pandemic, I'm just in the process still because it's a big curve, but learning digital recording. So especially so I can transfer all these tapes,
Right. Yeah. And that's an undertaking in its own right. Transferring and
oh my God, I haven't even begun that yet. But I have. From the days when I first started, I had a 4-track, and I still have that 4-track.
Nice.
And I have boxes and boxes and boxes of tapes.
Wow.
And so I have found so many. It's like every day. It's like, oh my God. And so what I'll do
gems.
Is I'll just take off the headphones, put my phone, the voice recorder, and just play the tape through the headphones and record it.
Just that way.
I have a record of it.
Yeah, right. So you don't lose track of it. Well, speaking of bass lines, some of the music you sent over, I had it on loop yesterday. It's really great stuff. And the first song I'd like to play is your track called Mistakes. That's I wrote down that the bass line is rad on that one. I like that bass line. So it kind of goes right into what we were just talking about, the bass. So what can you tell me about this song, Mistakes?
Well, it was kind of weird. There was a period of time where I had a really, really dear friend, and out of nowhere, I've never had anything quite so volatile, and it ended. The friendship, just a buddy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And so I wrote 2 songs, and Mistakes was kind of shared between. It's not all one person. Part of it makes me think of him, and part of it also but he's just a pal. He's a guy I grew up with.
Sure.
And the other part was a girl at the time that I was dating who kind of wasn't really thinking in terms of, the there's just, I don't know, it's like that line in As Good as It Gets, think of a man, but take away all reason and accountability. And accountability, there was a girl I was dating, and she would just do whatever she did and never had any sense of accountability, even though she would, so that's where, and you'll regret decisions that you made, and you can't for the world understand mistakes that you've made.
Right.
You can't understand it. She just would be so in her zone. But also the guy that was my buddy, who also happened to be very, very well off. He was very wealthy, comes from a wealthy family. And I realized a lot of his behavior came from that. He just didn't, he couldn't be called out. He couldn't be called out on shit. So in a weird way, it was an amalgamation between the two of them.
Sure. So when did you record this song?
Probably, that song's probably 12 years. I've got so many songs.
Sure.
So Justin, who produced that, Justin Stanley, who produced that song with me, and we were working on a lot of stuff. Speaking of lyrics, there are a lot of songs that we recorded that he would say, "Where are the words? We can't finish this until you get the words." Oh, sure. So yep. I was overwhelmed, and what it was I kept writing words for some of these other songs, and I was never happy with them because they were too self-conscious. They weren't in the flow. Mistakes literally just kind of poured out of my mouth.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's incredible.
And then, and I wanted it to be like a canon. I didn't want it to have like a lead, even though we did the coda at the end where there's a lead solo at the end. Right. I just wanted it to kind of be a cycle through, and it was also stylistic in my mind. I know it doesn't sound anything like it, but in my mind, it was also an homage to George Harrison. So nice. I can see that. Yeah. I really like that song. Why don't we play the song right now? Here is Mistakes from Jon Gries on the Rocks podcast.
It's all right, have your fun, justify, say it's 'cause we're young, no reply to the rationale you find, take it all, and goodbye, fuck off, goodbye. Decisions that you made, and you can't find all of the stand. Mistakes that you made, so it goes. Now I'm gone, never dreamed that I'd forsake you, and just take to the car.
Oh man, John, I love that song, man. That was that's my favorite of the three, I think. You actually had sent four tracks. I would just found in my email. There's another track we'll talk about later too, a fourth one. So bonus, there are 4 songs.
Yeah. Well, the fourth one is kind of it's like for I think it's the one called Bamboo Fields.
Yes.
We made, there was a film I was in called All About the Money.
Yeah.
And so Blake Freeman, the director and writer of the film, I said he would love the character I played so much. I said, I think the guy needs to have a song. He goes, I would love that. He goes, I want it. He goes, I kind of see an 80s style song. And I
amazing.
said, well, I'll give you 80s, but he never expected it to be like big hair, metal ballad. 80s. He thought it was going to be like, like The Cure or something.
Yeah.
No.
Pet Shop Boys or The Cure.
Exactly.
Oh, that's so funny. Exactly. I love that. So yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to that one yet. So that'll be fun to listen to. I was just going through the email quick for something else and saw that was in there. I was like, oh damn, another song. That's incredible.
Oh yeah, that one that one was hard to sing. That was.
Oh, I bet. It just knowing it
going higher and higher and higher and higher. Yeah.
It has to though, right? That's the requirement. That's why all those guys are struggling to hit those notes now, 35, 40 years later.
Exactly.
After the heyday.
I know. Yeah. So I only recorded that thing like 2 years ago. So I actually surprisingly.
That's so funny. That's awesome. I can't wait to listen to that. So getting more back into your music, what are some of your musical influences, like with your songwriting and playing? Who do you look up to?
Yeah. The truth is, like, as I'm listening to these tapes, and there's a lot of, there's a lot of Americana. Like I have moments where I do that. I love. I don't know. There's just kind of some really straightforward. I love some of Willie Nelson's stuff. I like old country. I love Hank Williams. I love, George Jones. I love, Buck Owens. There's some really amazing.
Some of the classics.
Amazing. Yeah. Those guys are crazy good.
Yeah. The Old Timers Club, man. They're awesome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then, but as a kid growing up, my earliest influences were like, obviously, one of my brothers was really into the Kinks when they first came out, and the other brother was really into the Beatles, and like I said, the Supremes and or Otis Redding.
Oh, classic.
Like, always listening to that kind of stuff when I was a kid. Sam Cooke. Gosh, I wish I had my thinking cap on, because I'll probably, when we're done with this, I'm going to go, oh, what about
Smokey
this?
Robinson?
What about this? What about this?
Right.
Oh yeah, fully. So really, it depends on where I'm writing. Sometimes I'll sit down and I'll be, like I went on the road with. Do you know who Ryan Bingham is?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's great.
So Ryan Bingham, when he first came to LA, he came with his drummer, Matt Pawpaw Smith. And Matt and Ryan, that was the band. It was just the two of them.
Right.
And they were playing in Colorado, and they flipped a coin whether to go to New York or LA. They weren't signed, no nothing.
Damn.
And this girl I know had told me about them, and sure enough, she was having a lunch party for her birthday. And sure enough, they showed up, and I was there.
Wow.
And then after about 3 hours, everybody was gone except she and myself and Matt and Ryan, and we pulled out the guitars and we just jammed for about 3 hours. And then
holy crap,
I said, where are you guys going next? And they're like, we don't know. I said, well, you come stay at my house. And so they came and they moved in, right?
What?
And then my girlfriend at the time was not.
She's like, what?
With it at first. Then we all became such great friends.
Cool.
And then they, I had to fly to Salt Lake City to shoot a movie, and I just said, stay here. It's okay.
Sure.
And so I was gone for about 4 or 5 weeks, and then I came back, and they were here, and then they were gigging, and I got them a gig at the Mint, a local place here, and then that led to a couple other gigs, and then they met Mark Ford, who got behind them and started working with them, the guitar player for the Black Crowes.
Yep.
And Mark's a good buddy. Mark actually has recorded in my studio a bunch. He recorded a lot of stuff.
Right on.
His like private stuff, so it's more like Townes Van Zandt. He has this other really, really deep guy laying below the rock and roll.
Really?
Not that not that he's not deep anyway, but very, very, very Townes Van Zandt, Bob Dylan-ish,
That's really cool.
Of course, I still have these tapes here. I should get him back up here, and we should talk about
what
he wants to do with them, because there's
for sure
a few good songs. And then what happened was Bingham took me on the road. Just like one day I was just in my house, and I walked out. They're sitting in their car. They called Blue Thunder, and they said, "Yeah, we're going to go back to Austin. We're going to go back to Austin. We got a few gigs to do on the way." And I was like, "All right, well, dude, pleasure to have you here." And then they just kind of said, "You want to jump on?"
What?
And I said, "Hold on a second." I just walked in and called my girlfriend. She worked at an animal hospital. I said, "Hey, I'm just going to take off for a few weeks. Is that all right?" She's like, "What?" I said, "I'm going to go on the road."
No, that's so cool.
I just packed up a guitar and packed up a bunch of harmonicas, because I played a lot of harmonica with them.
Yeah.
We just went on the road and played a lot of different places. And
that's incredible.
And then I rented a car in Dallas and drove back, because they were in Austin, but then we went to Fort Worth to play something there. And we played something in Houston. We played in Marfa. We played a lot of different. It was a lot of fun.
That is amazing.
I drove back to LA, and just one thing led to another, and that's just kind of so so that was kind of like fulfilling my Americana side, And then there's the other side, which is like the British side, which is my brother, of course, was being produced by Mal Evans, who was the Beatles road manager. And
amazing.
If you Google Mal Evans, you'll know who he is.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
He's all that footage of the Beatles in the studio. That's Mal, who's walking around.
Oh,
setting
wow.
everything up.
Really?
So he was like this. He was originally the bouncer at the Cavern Club when they started, and then he became.
No way.
He became. I sent some of this in an email. He became, kind of like a studio assistant with George Martin. He was always moving the equipment around. Yeah, and so then he became a producer, and so his first album was Keith Moon, the drummer of the Who.
Oh God,
his solo
legend.
Album.
Yeah.
And so he said to my brother and his band, "You're going to be the backup band." And the next thing you know, I was there for the first session. I was there for a bunch of sessions. In fact,
incredible.
I have a crazy story about this. We were sitting around, and Keith hadn't shown up yet, and we were at the old record plant on 3rd Street in West Hollywood, which burned down. It's long gone.
Yeah,
a lot of amazing records. In the other room, I could hear Robin Trower mixing.
Oh Jesus! Are you? That is such a great album.
I know, and I met Steve Marriott and Buddy Miles. Basically, I walked in the bathroom and they were doing drugs.
Oh, of course.
So we're sitting around and they're trying to figure out how to play the Beach Boys' "Don't Worry Baby," because Keith Moon loves the Beach Boys, loved, I should say.
Yeah.
And that was the first song he wanted to do. And
wow.
Mal Evans was like, does anybody know the changes? Does anybody know the words? And my brother and his band, they all could sing the first line, and then that was it. So Mal Evans turns to me, and I'm all 14 and a half years old, and says, would you drive over to the record store, go pick up the record?
Oh,
and
nice.
I was like, yeah, well, I'd love to, but
so here's the thing.
I didn't want to say I don't have my license, but I was kind of embarrassed, because here's Mal Evans, right?
Right. I haven't been stealing cars yet.
Yeah. Well, of course I knew how to drive, right? So I'm trying to, and my brother's like, Johnny, come on, man. You're cool. Don't worry about it. It's all right. And he's like, yeah, he can do it. He can do it. Yeah, he can do it. And so all of a sudden Mal's like, okay, so on the way out of the studio, go to the front desk, and there's a key tag with a blue key tag on it. Just take the blue, go get the blue car, right? So I go I get the key tag and I get to the blue car and I look down at the key tag and I'm like, well, there's 2 blue cars and one says RR on it and one says like Chevy. And I'm like, this is a motherfucking Corniche Rolls Royce.
A Rolls Royce.
And the license plate said Greed. And so I'll never forget. And
it's incredible.
I got in the car and I drove up to Tower Records on Sunset Boulevard.
Oh my God.
And there are always these like urchins hanging around in the parking lot. Like kids,
yeah, of course.
And they're all of a sudden this beautiful Rolls Royce and I step out and I'm almost 15 and I probably look 12.
Sure.
My hair is really long and I walk out and I walk inside. Even the guys behind the counter, they're looking at me like,
yeah, right.
Who the fuck is this?
Is this little shit?
Up, I'm like, you got Beach Boys? They're like, yeah, over there under the B. And I walk
the B section, fella.
I buy the one record and I put it down and I give the $5 bill and the record was like $3.50.
Yeah. And
I say, can I have a receipt, please? And I walk out with the one record, my change and the receipt. I get it in the rolls and I drive back to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mal puts me in a room with a record player and headphones. And he goes, okay, just here's a pen and a pad and write the words down. So I was happy to have a job. So I put the headphones on and I keep putting the needle back and forth. I write all the words down.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden he pops his head and he goes, all right. Keith's here. Teach him the song. Just teach him the song. And I'm like,
oh my God.
What the fuck?
Wait a minute.
like the night before, I mean, I was like laying, in my mom's, mom didn't like the music playing. So I'm laying in the living room with the headphones on listening to Who's Next, right? So next thing you know, I'm teaching Keith Moon, the drummer.
Oh my God.
How to sing Don't Worry Baby.
Whoa.
And I swear to you, he comes in and he's the sweetest guy and he's all apologetic for being late.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and then he's like saying, well, he basically said to me, his wife got very energetic that morning and he had to take care of business. I was like, wait. All right. So we're already bros here.
Already best buds. Right? Yeah.
and so, and then, I tried to get him to sing the song and he wasn't a good singer. And then I tried to teach him the melody and, so I spent a good 45 minutes running the song with him. And then he was like, well, it's just going to be the way it's going to be.
Really?
Just go down and do it. So.
Oh my God. What a story.
There were a lot of them.
No one else has a similar story to that. I'm just going to put that out there. No one has that same story for sure. That's incredible.
Oh no, it is. I felt like, oh my God. There was a day that they had everybody. There was one day where Harry Nilsson was there and John Sebastian and Alice Cooper and Mickey Dolenz and all these people. They all hung out together. And
my God.
And then
you were there with
Sean Cassidy, Sean Cassidy.
Teen heartthrob, Sean Cassidy.
But also, I didn't find this out until years later. I walked into a guitar shop and there was John Sebastian playing guitar. And I said,
what?
I walked over and I said, hey, I met you once years ago. He goes, oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Where were, he was trying guitar, not really wanting to talk.
Sure.
And I said, well, it was at the record plant for Keith Moon's album. That dude fucking flew out of his chair like 10 feet in the air and he goes, you were the kid. Cause I looked like a little kid,
Oh my God.
You were the kid.
That's amazing.
Then he started naming he goes, that was that one day. Well, first off, I didn't know it was only one day that all those people were there.
Sure.
But he names everybody.
What?
And he goes, Harry Nilsson, Alice Cooper, Mickey Dolenz, Larry Hagman, John Lennon.
What?
What? I said, hold on a second. What? John Lennon?
What?
And sure enough, Lennon was in there. Lennon came in with Harry Nilsson. I didn't recognize him.
Oh my
nobody
God.
Told me that there was so many people there. And he was wearing like one of those like Irish caps and dark glasses.
Yeah.
A lot shorter than I imagined he would.
Oh, really?
If you
had to guess. Yeah.
And also he walked in with Harry Nilsson, who was like all of 6'5",
Right.
And so like, you didn't look at anything but Harry Nilsson,
right?
John Lennon, and I was in the same room with him, and I missed like
that's insane
meeting John Lennon.
Wow,
it's crazy. But anyway,
that is so, dude. That is so cool. So, So aside from that Beach Boys album, when you were a kid, do you remember what the first album you bought was yourself with your own money?
Yeah, I think my first record, let me see, was probably, I gotta say, it was probably Are You Experienced?
Oh, classic.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, man.
That was my first record.
That's a great first record.
I was kind of sophisticated because my other, like right at the same time, was Mr. Fantasy, Traffic.
Oh my God. Those guys were so good.
Yeah.
Damn.
Crazy.
Crazy good.
So I bought that when I was 10 years old. I bought Mr. Fantasy.
How cool. What a cool 10-year-old, by the way. Damn.
Yeah, no, I was kind of like, my brother would kind of boast to some of his friends. He's like, they were like, oh, so what do you listen to? Like, you know, Three Dog Night. And I'm like, no, I'm like listening to like Leon Russell, you know?
Sure.
And, you know, like I was kind of into a different thing. I didn't really discover, I mean, my other brother loved Zeppelin, the brother who's closer to me in age, who's not, he is a musician, but he came later than all of us.
Sure.
But he was a Zeppelin fan and a Who fan. And
right on.
Yeah, I bought I remember my stepping out and buying Bowie before, you know, people thought Bowie, you know, because of the haircut that he had, they were either the people that were into Bowie or not into Bowie.
Yeah.
In the beginning, pretty much everybody was
before everyone liked them. Yeah. You were ahead of the game.
Bowie, and I got Mott the Hoople.
God.
I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I loved Alice Cooper's Killer. I thought that record was amazing.
Great record for sure. Yeah, man. Like, you were like the coolest 10, 11-year-old out there probably, huh?
Yeah, well, the Killer, Mott the Hoople, and Bowie was when I was 14. Those guys were a little later, you know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The timeline's a little bit different
Sly
there.
and the Family Stone.
Hell yeah. So good.
Yeah, love them.
Damn, man. That's quite a collection. That's quite a record collection for a high schooler. I dig that.
Oh yeah, you know, we loved our music. We did. We really tore into it, and the more obscure, the better. We were always looking for really crazy, weird stuff. Yeah.
Well, so speaking of obscure bands, what are some other bands that you're into back then, or even now, that you wish kind of more people knew about and had a bigger audience?
Well, there's no question that one of my biggest music appreciations is for. There was an album that the band Talk Talk put out called Spirit of Eden.
I know the band, yeah.
Spirit of Eden. Okay, so this is an amazing story, and I actually pitched this to do as a documentary, and of course this was before Mark Hollis, the singer for Talk Talk, passed away. He died just recently. Oh. But I had a meeting with the guys, the head of the music part. What was Bill Gates' old partner's name? Who up in Seattle? Who now?
John. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Steve Wozniak.
It'll come to me. Oh no, not Wozniak. There's I guess a third guy who was part of that whole thing who bought all of Jimi Hendrix's stuff.
Oh yeah,
one of those
that? Yeah,
tech guys who also recently died. I think he died also of pancreatic cancer. Like not unlike Steve Jobs, but it'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, so his company, I pitched doing the documentary of the making of Spirit of Eden because, you know, there's an amazing book called Are We Still Rolling, by the engineer, Brown. I forgot his first name, but he, they basically came, the guys from Talk Talk, basically Mark Hollis and Tim Freeze Green, who were really the two guys that made up they had a drummer and a bassist as well, but they were like the brainchild. Yeah. Phil Brown, right. Yeah. Phil Brown. Yeah. And Phil Brown, you know, they had approached him to do their second record because they had kind of got a hit with the song "It's My Life," which was later again re-released by No Doubt, which brought that song back to life. But it was a great song, and they were known as kind of like a pop synth band. but they wanted to do something a little different. And so they met with Phil Brown, who was at the, who had been, they said, what was the most influential record you'd ever worked on? And he said, Mr. Fantasy. So he was the second, and one of the engineers on Mr. Fantasy. I guess we're bringing this all into a circle,
it's full circle, man.
But Mr. Fantasy being recorded in 66 and released in 67, and they asked him, they said, we want to do a record, but we don't want to use any instruments or any equipment post 1967. We want to take you right back to where you did the Traffic thing. And so they went to Basing Street Studios in London, and they literally recorded only 6 songs.
Wow.
And it took them 9 months. 9 months.
What? Holy crap.
To record these songs.
6 songs?
But if you, so Phil Brown's book talks in great depth about, because when they played the record for their A&R man after it was done, he literally cried. He thought it was the most sonically beautiful thing he'd ever heard. But then the record company, which was EMI, decided to sue them because there was no single.
Oh,
and
God, what?
And EMI said, you spent 9 months in a studio to make 6 songs. We believe that you're trying to make a mockery of us.
Oh,
so we're going
really?
to sue you to get the money back for the budget for recording that album. And actually EMI won. And then the band had it turned over on appeal. So they finally got exonerated from the whole thing.
Okay.
But EMI could not quite understand that these guys were trying to make some art. But this record, if I've heard interviews with other people long after I discovered this record, like the guys from Radiohead said this was one of a very influential record on them. It's an amazing record.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
Amazing record.
I wrote it.
Yeah, you have to make sure you turn your phone off, you dim the lights, you put it on a good system, and you listen to that record. And I'm going to tell you, everybody, and I mean everybody I've turned on to this record has been like, this is such an eye opener.
Damn, dude. Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
It's an amazing record.
That's so cool. I just saw that NME ranked it at number 95 in its list of 500 greatest albums of all time. So cracked the top 100. That's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
wow.
It's amazing. It's an amazing record.
I'm going to check that out. So you mentioned making the songs that make you cry. What's a song that makes you cry? Can you think of any? I mean, besides the aforementioned ones?
The strangest thing. Like, I remember when I was doing, I was on a show and I had to be emotional. You're not supposed to give away your secrets to be emotional, but it was when I was on The Pretender, there was a couple times that I had to be really upset. And I would just put on, believe it or not, Ricky Lee Jones' her version of Don't Walk Away, Renee.
Oh, damn.
And that, for whatever reason,
does
record
it. Yeah.
Did it, because it just reminded me of my brothers. And when the Left Bank came out with the original song, my brother Steven, that was one of the obscure bands that he was like, these guys are great.
Oh,
listen to this song. It's like the greatest song ever written.
Wow.
And it is an amazing song. And God Only Knows is another one.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, me too, man. That is a beautiful song. Yeah. So good.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I think it's time we should play another song of yours, man. What can you tell me about Silver Pieces? Yeah, Silver Pieces. I know you got some notes in here too, but I'd rather hear it come from you,
Well, Silver Pieces, I was in a band. We played quite a bit in the 90s and in the early 2000s. And the band was called Carnival Dogs. And we played a lot of gigs. I mean, we would go through periods where we probably would have played, I'd say, in a year, just by booking bars and things like that. There were a couple of years that we probably played about 150 gigs a year.
Damn.
Yeah, a lot. And back then, the beautiful thing is we wouldn't just load in and load out. Like nowadays, bands will play a club, they'll play with 8 other bands,
Right.
No,
yep.
we would load in and we'd play the night.
Sure.
So we would play 4 sets.
Wow. Marathon.
And it's a lot of work.
It is
a lot of work. Yeah.
For sure.
A lot of work, but we loved it. I mean, you had to pull us off stage But
that is amazing.
Invariably we started writing songs, and this was one that myself, a guy named Jed Ojeda, who was a guitar player, and Blair Aronson, the keyboard player, we wrote this song together.
Nice.
And when I'll never forget the first time we played it live, we played it at the Viper Room. We were doing a show at the Viper Room. And
nice, legendary.
And I heard that Johnny Depp was in attendance, but I wasn't even aware.
Wow.
People would talk about it afterwards, but the crowd, when we played this one, the crowd went crazy. So It was kind of fun. It was a good song to play live. It was fun to play live.
Well, I sent these songs to my wife to listen to yesterday, and this was her favorite out of the three that we listened to. So, I think that was a lot of people who have a tendency to like the narrative. There's a kind of a narrative in that a little bit, and it's a narrative of regret, about a relationship. And I hope your wife's not lamenting on you, but I mean, it doesn't seem like she is. Maybe I should ask her and dig deep into that.
Yeah.
All right. So here is Silver Pieces here on the Rocks podcast.
Driving all night, I think I lost my way. Sitting in a gas station along the interstate. Yeah, I know I could turn around 500 miles to compromise. Lay low in a motel, baby. The only hell I have is time. It seems so funny now. It feels just like a curse. How once we started out, we just went from bad to worse. Yeah, bad luck experience. Only words to hide my pride. Close down the curtain, baby. I just don't wanna face this night.
It's a great song, man. I appreciate you sending these songs over for us to play on the show too, man. This is a real treat. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Jeffrey Russo, who is the guitar player in that band Tonic, they had one hit, and then I guess they broke up, but they were called Radio Flyer when I would there was every Sunday night there was a gig at the Mint, and it was called Dave Cernow's Rock and Roll Circus, and that was always the fun night to play at the Mint. That night everybody would play, like everybody, Jacob Dylan, the Wallflowers.
Yeah, of course. It's a great band.
There was a band called the Two Piece, which was amazing, and then there was there were all these great bands and Radio Flyer, and I just and once in a while there'd be somebody who would sit in and they'd do a set. They join Rock and Roll, Circus, and
sure.
Like what's his name? The one who drowned in the Mississippi River.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, Buckley. Yep.
Jeff Buckley would do it, and Keb Mo would do it. And
Keb Mo is awesome too. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of really good people. It was a real kind of a crossroads. It felt like a vortex. There was a lot of really talented people playing at the same time in the same place and kind of creating community. And so it felt really, really good to be part of that.
Yeah. What a cool place to be in, a real sense of community, it sounds like, with amongst the musicians and the bands. That's really incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
To be a fly on the wall there.
Great and a great appreciation. Everybody really appreciated each other and what we were all doing, and a lot of those musicians are still working and doing a lot of amazing stuff, different people, but still at it,
Right. I think Keb Mo's won a few Grammys, I think, too. My brother and I saw him. Yeah. We saw him at, I live in Fargo, North Dakota. I don't know if, I don't think I had told you that, but we have a blues fest here.
When you called the...
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah,
it came up that one. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, we have Fargo puts on a blues festival. They've been doing it about 25 years, and we've had everyone from John Mayall's Blues Breakers here, and Jeff Healy Band, Johnny Lang, who's from here, and then Johnny Lang. I was good buddies with him when we were in junior high. He lived in my neighborhood, and we just kind of met each other at the tennis courts and became buddies for a couple of years, and then I think he moved somewhere else, and we.
Wait, there's tennis courts in Fargo, North.
Yeah, man. Winter tennis, right? Well, what's weird about Fargo, I always tell people that Fargo has the weirdest weather. Like, we have weather in the 80s and 90s, and then we have weather that's 35, 40 below zero. It's just like it runs the whole gamut of weather. So you have to be tough to live here, I guess.
Now.
Right?
Especially now with the jet stream is kind of dipping lower. So you guys get warm weather sometimes in the middle of the winter.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's just unpredictable too. It's predictably unpredictable, I guess.
Yeah.
But Johnny Lang and then, of course, after we really weren't friends anymore, then he became like a child prodigy on the guitar and singing and stuff. So that's always been kind of a regret of mine, is losing track of him, kind of burning a bridge a little bit as kids. We kind of got into an argument as kids, and we never really hung out anymore. It's kind of the only friend.
That sucks.
Yeah, man. It's like the only friend of mine that I've ever kind of broke up with, like a friend. I don't even know. We just got in this weird argument.
That's like the song Mistakes.
Yeah.
Thing, that guy that was like Mistakes was kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. And it's just kind of, it's like, and I don't know if I regret it because he's a big star now, or is because, I don't know. I'm not sure. I like to think that I gave him enough time on his own to learn guitar and start music and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you should just write him and say, look, the reason why I had a fight with you is because I'm prescient and I'm psychic, and I knew you had to go lock yourself in your bedroom.
He did, and that's literally what he did. He took his dad's old blues records, and he taught himself how to play guitar and sing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what Stevie Ray Vaughan did. That's exactly what Stevie Ray Vaughan did.
It's crazy. Legend. Like, oh, man. Lost him way too soon.
It's funny. I was talking about Paw Smith. Now, he started a record company down in Fort Worth called 817 is the name of the record company.
Sure.
He and Grant Jackson Wilburn. And they're amazing guys. But Paw also has a place in Fort Worth called the Magnolia Motor Lounge, which is an amazing music venue.
Yeah.
I've seen some some great talent, and there is a good music scene kind of burgeoning in Fort Worth. It's been actually there for a while, but it's starting to get out a little bit.
Get more traction.
But I will say I remember I was down there, and this is probably about, I gotta say 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a guy who was a dishwasher at one of the nearby spots, but they would let him get up on stage after his shift dishwashing. And sometimes he would be wearing like still his smock and stuff, and he'd get up and play guitar, right?
Yeah.
And I remember looking at this kid going, this kid, I turned the pulp on, I go, he's good. He goes, that's why I let him play. He's learning. He's really learning.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, 2 years later, I mean, meteoric, not even 2 years later.
Yeah.
I'm talking like 16 months later.
What?
Leon Bridges.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's crazy. He was working there at the time? Oh my God.
Yeah. It happened in like a minute. It's like he went and recorded, somebody recorded him. He got signed. The next thing you know, and I was saying to Papa when I was looking at him, because Papa had just started the 817, and I was like, pointing at him like, this is the guy. This is the guy.
This is the guy, man.
Label,
oh my God. What?
But too bad, they missed him.
Missed out, man. Wow. That's incredible.
It meant to be where it was meant to be.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the same way about stuff like that. It's like you didn't know at the time either, and it worked out how it was supposed to, Just that it didn't work out for Papa, with that at least.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, exactly.
This concludes episode 1 of my chat with Mr. Jon Gries. Stay tuned for episode 2 coming soon. Oh my God, you guys. That dude's a legend. I had so much fun talking to him. Thank you so much for listening to On the Rocks podcast presented by supermetalworld.com. We really appreciate it. We are a growing podcast. We just had freaking Uncle Rico on the podcast, so we're doing pretty well. We need your help though. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, on Stitcher, Spotify. Maybe write a quick review on Apple while you're at it, so we can climb the charts. Follow On the Rocks on Facebook, on Instagram as On the Rocks _podcast, and Twitter at On the Rocks _pod. And please invite your music and pop culture loving friends to like the Facebook page, to follow us, all that stuff. Like, comment, and share our posts, retweet, share our content to your Instagram stories. Every little bit helps, you guys. Visit ontherockspodcast.com to also catch up on past episodes and find us on socials. You guys, this is Nate Callens for On the Rocks podcast. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Jon Gries. Take care. Cheers.